Hey, I just wanted to hop on and talk a little bit about nutrition and weight loss. Now, I'm not a weight loss coach. I've always said this. Weight loss as a goal, can cause a lot of stress. I've seen this in my clients, and it's also not super sustainable because there's so many factors at play, not just diet and exercise, but genetics can play a big role, stress, your access to proper food and healthcare, physical ability, all of those things can play a role in weight loss. And so it can be extremely challenging. It can be a really frustrating thing. I think what I notice is most people want to go on a diet, but diets don't always address the root cause of what is the underlying issue. So I wanted to talk about nutrition specifically around weight loss, because there are some nutritional elements that can be supportive and can be a starting point if you're on that weight loss or weight management journey. And I'm a holistic nutritionist, so I don't like diets. I don't love the whole, when there's a silver bullet. There is no silver bullet. Everyone is so different. You are extremely different from me. You're different from your neighbor. You're different from your aunt. And so something that works for them may not work for you. And so I want to give you a few nutritional kind of starting points in case these are helpful towards like managing a quote unquote healthy weight, which I don't think there's such a thing anyway. Okay, but I want you to feel good, and I want you to feel nourished and rested and energized. And some of these things will help with that. So the very first thing we're going to talk about is blood sugar balance. So there's three things I want to talk about. One is blood sugar balance, one's gut health, and the third is hormonal balance. So there's aspects of each of these that can contribute to weight gain. It can also contribute to weight loss. And so I don't want to see weight as the ultimate goal here, but I really just want to give you a starting point. I hope I haven't said that too many times. If I have, that's fine. So the very first one, blood sugar balance, is really important. Now, there may be other factors, right? But we're just only going to focus on these three. The very first one, blood sugar balance, is extremely important because blood sugar spikes and what most people call the blood sugar or glucose roller coaster can absolutely contribute to weight gain. We're not going to go into the ins and outs of this, but some of the nutritional elements that I want you to think about are, number one, are you balancing your meals properly? And balancing meals basically means that you have some element of protein, some element of fat, ideally more of protein and fat, and some element of fiber in your meals. And this can be tricky when you're starting out, but it gets easier, I promise. So it's really important to keep those three in mind, but definitely, if you were to choose two, I would be choosing the protein and satiating fats. So things like whole food fats that are like coconut, avocado, nuts and seeds, fatty fish, things like that, that are, come from the source. And you can ask me about that if you have questions. That's number one. How are you balancing your meals and your snacks? Your snacks need to have similar components in them. Number two, are you eating enough food? We often think about weight loss as a calories in and out equation. And sure, there may be some truth to that, but that is not the full picture. Because if you're not eating enough food, you're not getting enough nutrients. You're not getting enough calories, yes, but you're also probably staying hungry, which is contributing to your blood sugar roller coaster. We don't want a roller coaster. We want steady blood sugar. So if you start to feel the spikes and lows, which are usually come in the form of like moodiness, hunger attacks, tiredness, crash, like the afternoon crashes, cravings, those typically mean that you're not nourished enough and you need to eat more food. Number three, are you skipping meals? If you are skipping meals when you're hungry, that's going to contribute to your blood sugar roller coaster. So really important to keep some snacks on hand, something that's satiating. And, I know that fasting is a big aspect of blood sugar, but also fasting doesn't always provide you with the elements to make sure you're doing it the right way. So a good way to know if you're eating enough food is how quickly after the previous meal did you get hungry? So did you get hungry like 20 minutes after? That means you didn't eat enough food, or you didn't eat the right amount of food, or the right amount of nutrients. So you didn't have a proper balanced meal with enough of the protein and fats, because protein and fats are going to keep you satisfied for a longer period of time. So those are a few things to think about with regards to blood sugar. Now, let us talk about gut health. Now, the gut is this mysterious thing in your body, and it sure might feel that way, right? It's like you learn about these trillions of gut bacteria that line everything from your mouth all the way down to your anus. So they're primarily in your small intestine and in your large intestine. But these bacteria are responsible for not just your digestion, but also your nervous system health. So like the way that you communicate, it is responsible for anxiety, it's responsible for moodiness. There's so much we still haven't learned about your gut, but keeping your gut healthy is really important. When your gut is sort of out of whack, when, if you're getting sick a lot, if your immune system is a little bit weak, that's going to add to inflammation, which basically what it does is if you have excessive inflammation, it's going to throw off all the elements in your body that are trying to be balanced. And so, weight can play a part there. Inflammation is basically going to make your body want to protect itself. And a lot of times weight gain is a result of that. Your body is trying to protect itself. There's the inflammation aspect. And then there's also, if your gut is not healthy, you're not going to be absorbing nutrients as well. So that's really important to also consider. So how do you know if your gut's not healthy? One way to know is if you get sick a lot. Okay, so getting yourself checked, asking for like some gut testing can be helpful. Another thing is also eliminating food triggers. Food triggers are going to add to inflammation, and they're going to basically make your gut sort of imbalanced, your gut microbiome imbalanced. So the usual food triggers tend to be gluten, dairy, eggs, fish, seafood, peanuts, and other tree nuts sometimes. I'm sure there are others that I can't think of at the moment, but there's lists out there. Eggs, did I say eggs? Anyway, what you want to know is that these food triggers don't apply to everyone. Okay, so I'm not saying stop eating gluten, stop eating eggs. No, what I'm saying is that your body may have developed a sensitivity to one of these foods, and it can develop at any point in time. Usually stress has to do with it, but if you've had any sensitivities throughout your life, you're more likely to develop more. Okay, so there are ways to figure out what those are. I've worked with my clients to do that. We've identified them. Sometimes it feels like a pain because you're like, oh my God, I don't want to deal with this for 3 weeks or 4 weeks. Yes, it can be really hard, but think about what's on the other end. It can add years of pleasure to your life. And I'm talking about food pleasure. Okay, other pleasure too, probably. All right, let's move on to hormonal balance. Now, hormonal balance is something that is so delicate. It can be affected by your blood sugar balance. It can be affected by stress. It can be affected by definitely the stage in life that you're in, right? So if you're going through perimenopause or menopause, you're more likely to gain weight as a result of your hormones. And it's not necessarily going out of balance, they're shifting, right? To kind of make way for what's next, for the next chapter, okay? But if you have something like PCOS, which is polycystic ovary syndrome, you might see that you're gaining weight again, and this is because of potentially hormonal imbalance. So you really want to find out what the root issue is. And a doctor can help you with that. If you go to someone who specializes in hormones, they can tell you, like what hormones are kind of out of balance. And as I said earlier, it's a delicate balance. So if there's one hormone that's out of whack, usually that's a stress hormone, cortisol. You can throw everything else out of whack. Now, every hormone is going to have specific nutritional elements to it. So I'm not going to go into them at all. And personally, I don't even work on that as much, but I do know from a general perspective, most hormones, especially your sex hormones, are made out of fat. And so again, eating those satiating fats can be super supportive for you. Not just for your hormonal balance, but also for your blood sugar balance. It can also help you reduce cravings, which, I know that a lot of people get really frustrated with cravings. I'm going to make a whole new video about cravings because it's one of my favorite topics. So we've talked about blood sugar balance, gut health, and hormonal balance as things to look into and address if you are trying to lose weight. Those are some starting points. I would love to help you with this. Again, I am not a weight loss coach. We're not going to focus on losing weight. We're going to focus on getting your body to a more nourished, more content, more satisfied, and more rested place. And that, to me, is the long game. You're playing the long game. So schedule some time with me. And if you have questions, put them in the comments below. I would love to hear them. And I'd also love to hear what other topics you'd like to learn about. All right, take care.